Let's get right into this review for Ready or Not 2, Here I Come. Alright, so this film is directed by Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillett. The film stars Samara Weaving as the main lead again, joined this time around by a new ensemble of hectic side characters to stir more chaos with the satanic lore involved in this world. To start off, I thoroughly enjoyed the first film when it released back in 2019. It was one of those films during my college days that I went into blindly, and I was satisfied with the overall cinematic package, more so than I ever expected it to be. So I was pleasantly surprised to see the trailers roll out for a sequel almost 7 years later, and I was intrigued to see where they could possibly take the crazy lore next. The previews looked solid enough right from the get-go, so I thought the sequel had the potential to top the original film. Now that I've seen the film in its entirety, what did I think about the cinematic package here? I thought this was just an okay time. To start with the positives, I enjoyed the entire cast. They were good with their characters for what they were worth. Not all of the side characters here had a whole lot of depth to them, but they were ample enough to service the C-tier story at the end of the day. Seems like they all had a lot of fun in the process as well, so kudos to the entire cast. I also enjoyed the set location of where this next deadly game of hide and seek takes place. It wasn't as clever and tight-knit as the first film's setting, but there are some fun visual segments sprinkled throughout and creative uses of the land. Now as for the cons, I have to say the sisterly banter became a little obnoxious after a certain point in Act 2. I dug sort of the initial segments to their pent-up drama, but after a while, I thought it started to hinder the quality of the story and the direction of where things were headed towards in Act 3. Also, the side characters are all pretty bland. They fill in the typical character tropes, and you can see each of their character journeys coming a mile away. That leads me to my next negative, that there's nothing special or unique about the cinematic package here. Everything plays out just the way you think it will in the most mediocre sense. There's plenty of illogical and C-tier moments sprinkled throughout the acts. I'm also not sure how the main sisterly pair survived a couple of the scenarios. Guess that's plot armor for you in the negative sense. And everything going on in the story just generally didn't excite even by the time we reached the conclusion. Now, I wasn't bothered by any of these cons during my screening per se to warrant me dozing off or leaving the theaters entirely, but I also wasn't 100% satisfied with the cinematic experience by the end. My final score for Ready or Not 2, Here I Come is 6.5 out of 10. This was a decent one-time watch experience for me. This film truly feels like one of those fun cinematic packages you probably enjoy on a plane ride. If the trailers intrigued you, or if you were a fan of the first film, this is more or less the same thing with a bit of hindered quality compared to the original. They do lean a bit more towards the cheesy elements and dark comedy more so than the first film, which I felt had better tension as a horror thriller package. So you may or may not like the sequel even more depending on what core tempo you were expecting from this. Anyways, thanks for checking this review out. I'll have more coming soon, so stay tuned, like and subscribe, and I shall see you on my next upload. Until then, stay safe out there, and peace!